What's up, Michigan fans? Welcome back to the Amazing Bluebeard podcast, where we talk all things Michigan, football, basketball, and every sport, because we love all our Michigan Wolverines. I'm Chris. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you taking the time out today to hang out, talk a little Michigan sports, have some fun, which we are going to have. As you can see here, this is what we're going to get into. So, without further ado, let's go blue. And let's get to it. Isaiah Hole put out an interesting article on Wolverine Wire, and you also may know Isaiah Hole from his YouTube channel, Locked On Wolverines. He does a great job, one of my favorite ones. So if somehow you've watched me and you haven't heard of him, check him out. It'll be linked down below, as well as his great website where he does articles and stuff, Wolverine Wire. He does a fantastic job. But he did an interesting article on Jamar Browder. And Jamar Browder had some really cool things to say. And there's two parts to this I want to talk about. One, he talked about some things that are just cool to hear, and we'll talk about what that means for him and his opportunity. But he said a couple things that when you really dive into it and think about it and dissect it, it gets me excited about the passing game for next year. And I'm going to tell you why. So first, let's just talk about in general what he said. So Jamar Browder sat down with Chase Herbstreit on The Team, which is Champ Media's new series. I gotta check it out because I kind of want to see how Chase Herbstreit, how his personality is on this thing. So, but Isaiah Hole talked about it in the article. I gotta watch it. I'll link that down below too if I can find it. But anyway, he kind of asked him about. Well, before I get into that, just a refresher in case you're not familiar with Jamar Browder, but he was a freshman wide receiver last year for Michigan, a lot like Andrew Marsh. Andrew Marsh got his shot and took off with it. Jamar Browder never really took off with it, but as a freshman receiver, sometimes it's not always easy. But he's 6'5", he's fast as well. He's not just like a possession guy. He's quick. So he's got a lot of potential. And now he's got a fresh start with this new coaching staff. So Chase Herbstreit asked him about Micah Simon, the new wide receiver coach. And Browder said this. He said, he's cool, definitely the way he's presenting things to us. It's like we have more flexibility and freedom to be like actual players. I mean, last year, you make a play, you make a play. But it was definitely kind of like more robotic actions, unfortunately. So this year, it seems like we have more options on routes. It's going to be harder to get covered. Our job is to not get covered. So it seems like it's going to be a good deal. And then, of course, they talked about Whittingham and the rest of the staff. And Browder talked about how they appear to want to be more, have an environment, everything that's more player-led. Now, I'll come back to this player-led in a minute. I'll wrap all this up with my thoughts, but let me just tell you what the rest of what he said. He said, what I've noticed is like he's trying to bring that old school Michigan, just like that hard football back into the culture. And this is Herbstreit talking. He said, I feel like he's doing a pretty good job. Like he said, I think he said it earlier today, he wants the team to be player-led. He wants the players to lead stuff and not the coaches. And I think like when there's a lot of likes, I'm reading this verbatim from what they said. I think like when you have players leading the team, you'll be more successful than coaches trying to drag you out and like do work that you don't want to do. And then Browder said, it definitely seems like he's more of just like set the standard and see what happens. Make sure the team fits how he wants it to be. Okay, so let me talk about player-led first. So now don't get this confused. You hear about a player's coach, right? And we think about Sharon Moore, player's coach. Player-led does not mean letting players run the asylum, letting them do whatever they want, because you're just so busy with things you shouldn't be that players are on their own and do whatever. That's not what player-led means. What it means is you still have the expectations, you still have repercussions, you still have accountability. You are in charge, and that is very clear. But player-led means the coaches shouldn't be the leaders on the team and on the field. The players should. So you create an environment, and you coach them up and you inspire them to take the reins, take control of leadership. And you see a few guys, alpha dogs, as Jim Harding said, step up and become leaders and lead the meetings, lead the team, inspire the other ones, maybe that are dragging a little, to pick up the pace, set the tone, that kind of stuff. And that's what player led, what Kyle Winningham wants. He's there, he's in charge, he's going to do what he's supposed to do. The other coaches are too. But they want to see people step up and be leaders in that locker room. And that's really cool. So here's the part that I think it's great. I think Browder has all the tools, and I love that he has an opportunity now to maybe impress these coaches and get more reps and get some more playing time and maybe shine and carve out a role on this team. Is it going to be easy? No, there's a lot of talent in that wide receiver room, but he's got talent, and I'm excited to see, what he can maybe do. Even if it's just getting a shot in goal line plays, or getting in on a play here and there, but we'll see. But here's what I think is interesting and what gets me excited for the passing game. Now, Michigan's passing game at times has been stale, and that's probably being too kind. Michigan's passing game has been incredibly stale, definitely during Sharon Moore's time, and you could chalk that up to, not having a quarterback, but last year you had a quarterback that could sling it, and you never tried to sling it very often. But even with Jim Harbaugh, and he had some pretty good quarterbacks, we'll talk about the question of the day in a while, but even with J.J. McCarthy, who's very good, they passed it when they had to, it seemed like. And a lot of the times, like, we would get frustrated because, a lot of times it was wide receiver. Maybe they didn't have the wide receivers because a lot of big wide receivers didn't want to come to Michigan because of the running game being the main force. Okay, maybe there's some truth to that, but Michigan has some pretty dang good wide receivers through the years, and sometimes the routes and stuff just seem so vanilla, and they would just do the same things, and it didn't seem creative, and we would blame the offensive coordinator and everything. But now think about what he said. Browder said that it was so robotic before. And now he talks about how they have more options on routes. So every time a play's called, it's not just, okay, for this play, you are going to run a wheel or you're going to run a slant. No, it's going to be like, your job is to not get covered. So in this position setup for this play, you can go deep, you can do a slant, you can do an out, you can do a comeback, whatever you got to do to get open. Now, could that create more difficulty for Bryce Underwood? Maybe, but that's pretty awesome. I feel like that shows the creativity of this pass game in this offense. It's not going to be so easy for defenses to sniff out, and I just feel like we're not going to see these wide receivers run one route and then be like, oh, well, shoot, that was covered, nothing there. They're going to be able to do whatever, like, okay, look at where the defensive back and the safety are. I'm doing this. Like, the thoughts of that is pretty exciting. So it's just cool that they're going to have options on their routes and a little more opportunity to, like he said, be a player, be an athlete, use your strength to your advantage. If you're Browder, use that speed. And I think that's awesome. And I think that's going to bode well for the offense and the passing game. And that gets me pumped to see what this offense will be like and to see if they're going to open it up and air it out. Like, it'll be awesome. It's going to be cool. I'm really excited. I think that especially under Sharon Moore, the routes were very vanilla, very dumbed down. It was like make a play on this one robotic route, and if it's not there, he'll find someone else to run. Like, I think that's pretty much what it was. And of course, you love hearing him very happy with Simon. I think Simon's done a great job recruiting and with the players there. So great coaching staff. But that gets me excited. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I think that's a great sign of what this offense and passing game could be. Michigan faces Michigan State at the Chrysler Center today for the final game of the regular season, and it's going to be a dandy. Michigan State has been on a tear. They're surging. It's a rivalry game. It's always crazy. So this has the makings of a barn burner. Michigan, of course, took the first game of this of the 2 games they're going to play this year. Earlier this season at the Breslin Center, Michigan was able to come out on top. So what are some things that Michigan needs to do in this game to win again? Now, I've got my keys to victory I'm going to talk about in a second. But of course, we need to see Michigan figure out some things with LJ Kason's absence still. It was ugly against Iowa. It didn't go well. Some of that hopefully was because of Iowa's defense and Michigan's being prone to turnovers and Iowa being statistically very good at steals. Hopefully that was the combination that hurt things. And they've had more time to work on it, talk about it, try things out. We'll see how they look. Hopefully the starters do better, and someone can step up to fill the void of creator and running the offense well and attacking when Elliot Cadeau is not in the game. But we will see. So that is important. That's something we're all going to be watching as this game unfolds. But what does Michigan need to do to win? Number one, they need to not let the way Jeremy Fears plays the game affect them. They did a great job with this in the first game. We all know he does some shady things. It's just part of his game. But he's a very good player. He can make shots like crazy if he's on, even if you're playing good defense. So, are they going to shut him down? Probably not. He's a good player. But all his antics, all the extra stuff he does to try to mess with you, get in your head, just block it all out. Keep a cool head. Don't let it get to you. Let him get frustrated because he's not getting to you, and maybe that'll affect his game a little bit. So number one is to control him as much as you can, but understand he's probably going to get his points, but don't let his mind games, his stuff he's done in the past, get to you and affect how you play. That's number one. Two, Michigan needs to control the inside out of Michigan State's game. So what do I mean with that? Michigan needs to play their defense. Inside, they need to control the inside on both ends. Score more in the paint, limit Michigan State in the paint, and they can also do that by rebounding. Michigan State's got a solid team. They have a solid core 4 players, and they do it inside out. They're good down low. They're good at rebounding, and they use the 3-point shot to really complement that game and have a well-rounded offensive attack. So if we have strong perimeter defense and we can take away open, easy threes, that's going to help. And if we can lock down our defense on the inside, put a butt into a body, and get our rebounds, win the rebounding game, win the points in the paint, Michigan's going to be in great shape. Finally, and most important of all, they did this in the first game. It is very important to get off to a good start against Michigan State. At the very least, be playing well and have a lead, or at least be right there, because Tom Izzo's been in this game a long time, and he's a good coach, and he's good at adjustments. Michigan State is a very good second half team generally. He usually makes adjustments, so you can't get in a hole going into halftime. It's usually not a good place to be. Michigan was able to jump off to a hot start, get a big lead, and then down the stretch, we saw how scary it gets. And if you are losing down the stretch to Michigan State, it's very hard to win. So Michigan needs to get off to a good start and not dig themselves in a hole, so they can play their game and have confidence and have fun and share the ball and all those things. But get off to a good start, and that will help them towards winning the game. So again, not let Jeremy Fears get in their head, affect their game, any of that stuff. Control the paint and play good defense. Get your rebounds, play good defense inside and out on the perimeter and down low, and get off to a good start. And don't put yourself in a hole going into a second half with a coach and a team that's very good down the stretch. Michigan can do those things. I think they can win this game, and hopefully we'll see some much better point guard play and some a better idea of what they'll look like without LJ Kason, but we will see. So make sure you keep an eye out for on the YouTube channel. I'll be doing a live post-game show as always, and I would love to have you join me. It should pop up on there. And then, it's always hard with that. You never know when a game's going to end, but generally, within 30 minutes of the end of the game, I've got one posted on there, and we'll hang out and chat about whatever happens and look forward to the Big Ten tournament which will be next week. So, big game. Can't wait to see how it goes. Go Blue. Now it's time for some recruiting news, and I want to talk about two players that I'm excited about that have some updates. One I've talked about before, one I haven't yet. So first, the one I've talked about before, defensive back or cornerback Dante Wright has set his visit to Michigan. He is committed to Georgia, the loosely committed, not the entrenched committed, but he's taking visits elsewhere and all of that. And he's the number 3 cornerback in the recruiting class. He is very good. He would be an amazing get for Michigan. He set all his visits. He's going to come see Michigan June 12th through the 14th. But he is visiting Georgia at the end of May. So it's something to keep an eye on, because a lot of times if someone's already committed and really feels strongly about a team and then they go and visit them, sometimes they don't make it to you after that. But he is interested in visiting Michigan, and I'll tell you some of the things that he said. He said, I treat all the schools the same. I am committed to Georgia, but I'm also enjoying the process and trying to see where is the best fit for me. He had expressed a desire to visit Michigan because he wants to get a better feel for the environment there. He loves the tradition around Michigan. It intrigues him, and he's been following them closely for a while. He said the new staff has reached out a little bit to him, and it seems like it's ramping up and they're going to be reaching out to him more. And then this is what he said about Michigan. From what I've heard from a football standpoint, they put DBs in the league. They always have good coaches and top guys there. They play the top guys for sure. They're a very competitive program. And then academically, I'm pretty sure I heard they were pretty good academically, but I have to look into that more for sure. So he's one of the best recruits overall in the country. 6 foot, 175-pound defensive back, and he has blazing speed, and he's described as having strong instincts. They also talk about how he's got a lot of swag and has a competitive fire, and that he's just really fun to watch. And they said that he's comfortably 6 foot or higher. So he's over the 6 foot mark, which is awesome for a cornerback. And they also talk about how he's a good combination of quick with that speed and agility, but he's also very physical. So he can match up with tight ends, big receivers, and be just fine. So this dude is awesome. And a lot of people think he is, without a question, a 5-star, slam dunk, can't miss, top cornerback. So keep an eye on this one as we move in through spring and into summer. It'll be very interesting. Now here's the other one, and this is for the class of 2028, but this guy is one that I love, and let me tell you why. Caleb Tucker, defensive lineman. He is one of the most dominant defensive linemen in the country at the high school level. Of course, he's only a sophomore. He'll be a junior next year. But he's one to keep an eye on. He's from Chicago, Mount Carmel, which that place has some amazing players. But his nickname is Bone Crusher. I mean, come on now. Come on. Already you love this guy, right? But here's something else to think about. Listen to his size. He is 6'5", 355 pounds. The Bone Crusher. Oh, man. I friggin' love it. Stronger than most offensive linemen, of course, in high school, and quicker than anyone else his size. He's very quick, and he's very strong. It's incredible. I mean, he's got any Power 5 school has offered him, basically. Notre Dame, LSU, Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan. So he's going to be at the top of that recruiting class as it ramps up next year, too. But he's somebody to keep an eye on. Right now, he said he's just focused on getting a 5th straight national championship, state championship for Mount Carmel. And he talked about what are his strengths. He said, my athleticism, my hands, and my quick feet. My quick hands and my quick feet. So he's got interest in Michigan. I'm sure he'll set up a visit down the road, but I just had to mention him because I'll be talking about him a lot for sure next year. But as the recruiting cycle goes on, anytime I hear anything about the Bone Crusher, I'm going to share it with you. 6'5", 355, and really fast. Come on now. Now it's time for the question of the day results. I ask a question of the day every day, so if you haven't voted today, head to the community tab after this video and vote. So yesterday I asked, since Chad Henne, so post Chad Henne, who's the best Michigan quarterback, not named J.J. McCarthy. JJ's a legend, national champion. We all love him. Of course, he's going to be up there. Eventually, I'll probably do a question today where I say, who's the best quarterback? And, that's a question for a different day. But I asked, besides not named J.J. McCarthy, who's the best quarterback since Chad Henne in that era since then? You could choose from Denard Shoelaces Robinson, Devin Gardner from The Blueprint with Jake Butt. Check that out if you haven't yet. Or Cade McNamara, who was the QB before J.J. McCarthy and won that first Ohio State game we hadn't won in a long time, took us to the playoffs, won the Big Ten championship. Pretty solid. It didn't end well for him in his college career, but that was pretty magical for him. Or somebody else. People mentioned some really good ones like Wilton Speight. I really love Speight, and I always waited for him to take that next level and kind of break through that ceiling, but he always just kind of stayed there. And then he kind of started to regress there later on, but he was fun to watch. I really liked him a lot. Good. And he just seemed like such a good dude. And then another interesting one someone mentioned was Ryan Mallett. Rest in peace. He played as a freshman for Michigan, and then Lloyd Carr. Well, he didn't play as a freshman, but he was on the team as a freshman. Lloyd Carr retired, and then they brought Rich Rod in, who was a spread offense guy. Ryan Mallett wanted to be in pro style, and he moved on and went to Arkansas. And you just always wonder what he could have been at Michigan if Lloyd Carr was still there, or if they brought in a pro style coach. So that was an interesting one to think about as well. But those were your options. The results are in, and here they are. As you can see, the winner by a wide margin was Shoelaces Denard Robinson. And that's a fair get. I mean, the dude was electric. He put up some insane numbers. He was so fast. I mean, early on, he was unstoppable for those first few games he played because no one had seen speed like that from a QB in so long, and definitely not in the Big Ten. And he could just take off and be gone, hit a hole, and he's just so fast. And I remember when he first came out, I actually really liked Tate Forcier. I don't know if anybody remembers him, but I really liked Forcier a lot, and I was kind of bummed when Denard Robinson got the start over him, but then when he started tearing it up, I was like, all right. And just some of the games, those Notre Dame games, he had a magical one where he put up some big numbers at Notre Dame, and then, of course, the game under the lights where he led the winning drive. And that Sugar Bowl against Virginia Tech, that crazy throw to Junior Hemingway. I mean, he was a fun quarterback, so I would agree with that he was. But they were all solid. I mean, Devin Gardner, he just played his heart out, and I think he was a really good quarterback too. It just didn't click with the coaching staff and the teams that he was on, and it just didn't click. And then Cade McNamara, props to him, but he had a legend waiting in the wings. So, he had that working against him. But everybody, thanks for voting. I appreciate it. Again, if you didn't vote on today's question of the day, go vote now. That's going to do it for this episode of the Maize and Bluebeard podcast. Thanks again for hanging out with me. I always have a blast chatting with everybody in the comments, so make sure you leave a comment. I respond to everyone. And if this is your first time here, remember we're working towards 1,000 subs. And when we get there, we're going to have a live stream celebration, and my beard will be dyed maize and blue. Make sure you like the video as well. That helps push it out to more. And if you see that hype thing pop up, give me a little bit of hype points. I would appreciate it. But I hope you had fun, and make sure you check the channel later today after the game. Win or lose, if you want to hang out, I'll be doing a live post-game chat. We'll talk about the game, and we'll look ahead to the Big Ten tournament and kind of try to see who Michigan might play. And we always just go off on tangents and have fun. So join us tonight. I'd love to see you there. And if you're seeing this after it's already happened, then go watch the replay of it, because you'll find it under my live section. But that's going to do it. So that's all I got. Have a fantastic day. Go blue today. Michigan beat Sparty. Finish strong. And I'll see you in that I'll see you in that live post-game chat or in the next video that I do. And until then, as always, Michigan fans, go blue.